Hello friends, Coach Bob with you, and today we are going to talk about some things that could very well save your life. It's interesting. I had a scare the other day, and you know, it's one of those things where when you ride, you're going to have those things. I hate to say that you're going to, and certainly for those who are a little squeamish about riding anyway, maybe you should leave the room. No, it's not going to be hardcore. It's not going to be gore and guts. It's not going to be anything like that. This is just a wake-up call to all of us to pay attention to what we're doing and to what others are doing. But before I get going, if you would do me a favor, like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, all that stuff. So let's talk about a couple of things. First off, let's talk about cars and what cars do while we're out there driving around. Now, we know that it's very, very often that we see this right here. Here's a quick little piece of a video right here where we're behind a Harley and a young couple. This was in a video that we put out a week or two ago, and a car just was going to make a left turn and whoop, right across in front of them. Now, it was close. It wasn't so close that, you know, I don't think they were in peril. But could it have been? Yes, because if you're not paying attention to that, if you're not watching these cars as they do these things, and we've seen it time and time again where people grab a handful of front brake, and if you're on two wheels, that will put you on the ground really, really fast. In addition to the fact that it would have put this young couple on the ground, they were wearing no helmet, no jacket, no gloves, tennis shoes, and they had vehicles behind them. So not only would they have been road rash, but quite possibly a vehicle would have run right over the top of them. That's something you have to think about, vehicles running over the top of you. Here's a little picture that I saw on the internet here recently of a Spyder that was rear-ended. I don't know anything about it other than it was a picture I saw on social media. There wasn't much of a conversation about it. There was no real description about what actually occurred. If you have any information or know of the person who was in this accident, were they injured? Was the vehicle parked? I don't know. Please share some information down below. I am interested. I would love to talk to this person and hear about the experience of what they went through. So the typical car cutting you off, that's something that we all have come to expect, whether we're on two wheels, three wheels, or four wheels. We know that folks are in a hurry and they do these kinds of things. And that is all on them, okay? It's all on them. But what is on us is to be aware, and that's what this video is about. Not that they're doing something wrong. We know they're doing something wrong. What can we do? One, you have to be aware of these vehicles as they're around you. Could this couple have done anything to mitigate that, to keep that from happening? I will say that I don't think they were in a lot of passing going on. They were in that left-hand lane, which is more of a turning or a fast lane a lot of times. So if you're in that right-hand lane, you're going to be less prone to have somebody kind of cut across because there is nowhere to cut across. Maybe someone could do that turning right. It can always happen. Just be aware of it. And when you see people beside you, watch them. And especially if you're in that little blind spot, that little quarter panel right there behind that vehicle, they cannot see you. So be very, very careful with that. And when you have places where folks can make left turns, U-turns, that sort of thing, watch them because they're wanting to go. You just have to be real diligent about that. So the next thing I saw that was something that the vehicle just absolutely did something wrong was right here, running a stop sign. The guy just ran the stop sign and the car right behind him, I guess because the front guy went, he was thinking he might go too. He stopped. Now, one of the things you can't hear in the video is I'm going by, boop, I'm hitting that horn to get that person's attention, like I told you in a video here recently. Make sure they see you, because if they don't make eye contact with you, they may pull out in front of you even if they do stop. But be very careful. If you see one guy blast through a stop sign, it is quite possible there could be a guy behind him and a guy behind him. And for some reason in the brain, we see that first person go, they just go behind him. How many times you've been sitting in a red light, you know, you're here and here, and you're sitting beside someone, and they get a green arrow to turn, and then you start to go, and then you realize, oh, it's not my turn. You went because you saw the movement of this other vehicle. They're going to do that as well when they're behind someone just blasting through a stop sign. Shouldn't be that way. Makes it the way it is. So make sure when you come up to these intersections and stop signs, you really, really pay close attention. Now we're going to talk about two things that happened to me here recently on a ride. And also we're going to talk about the last thing we're going to talk about is the scariest of the things that have happened to me in quite some time. Yeah. So let's talk about these next two occurrences and then we'll get to that. All right. So the first one, we're driving down the road and there is a white car here and here's us. This white car is turning right into a parking lot. There is a blue car beyond the white car that is trying to pull out. He is going to cross our lane and make a left-hand turn. Now, as we are approaching this, there's no way that car can see us. That blue car cannot see us. The white car is between the blue car and the Spyder. The driver in the blue car should wait until that white car is out of the way. But so many times this is what happens. They glance, they don't see anything, and they go. What happens when they do that? We could possibly get T-boned right there at an intersection. So as a rider, you have to anticipate the potential of that driver pulling out in front of you. That means you decrease your speed and you look. Also understand that if that vehicle does pull out and he sees you, it is all too common for that vehicle to slam on brakes and stop in your lane right in front of you. I see that more often than the guy accelerating through the lane to get through your lane and out of your way. Most people panic, they brake, and they stop right in front of you. So be able to stop if at all possible. If not, have another exit plan. It could be going behind the vehicle. It could be making a right turn into that parking lot. There are a lot of things that you can possibly do in order to avoid that particular situation. Another one, we're driving down the road again. A bunch of cars pulling into a parking lot where a Starbucks is. Vehicle are sticking out in the road and a guy pulls out of the parking lot. This is within a couple of miles of each other. The vehicle is out into the lane and sees us and then he stops. Ended up not being a problem. We were watching him very, very closely. Understand also, when you're pulling out of a parking area, if you're making a left-hand turn and there's a vehicle turning right, you cannot see what's behind that vehicle. You can't see. Let that person get out of your way so that you can see that there's no traffic coming. Because if not, I can tell you what's going to happen. You're going to pull out there and there's going to be a car coming and you're going to get walloped. So make sure that you are always aware of those situations. And like I said, I had two of these things happen within a couple of miles of one another where a vehicle that was turning out of the road was blocking the view of someone that was entering the road. It was not the automobile pulling out of the parking lot. It's not his fault that he can't see me. Where he is at error is just pulling out thinking that nothing is there. So be aware of those situations. Those are places that can really, really get ugly. Now, last but certainly not least, this last situation was completely my fault. I had a scary one, y'all. In fact, I'm going to tell you, I left the house going for a ride, testing out these new boots. I was riding. I was paying attention to what I was doing. I pull up to the stop sign exiting my neighborhood. So I'm not a quarter of a mile from my house. Coach Vic would have heard the collision. It would have been so loud. I come up to the stop sign. I look right. I look left. I look right. And I pull out and make my left turn. As soon as I am in the lane, I hear a car horn. And I know at that point there is something behind me. And it's probably pretty close. I don't know exactly how close. Now, I'm not going to say that this vehicle was driving the speed limit. He was obviously speeding. That being said, in this part of the world where I am, I'm in the country. There's a 2-lane road with a speed limit of 45, and it's pretty much an open road. It is not uncommon for people to do 55 and 60 down that road. Does it make it right? No, it just makes it the way it is. I do it. Everyone out here does it. It's just the way it is. I missed the guy. I just missed him. I don't know if he was blocked in the periphery of the helmet. I don't know if it was a dark car and a shadow. I don't know if he was going fast and by the time I glanced, he was on me and it just didn't register because his closure rate was more rapid. Either way, I pulled out in front of this car. I'm accelerating. As I accelerate, the guy lays on the horn and goes around me. Now, there are many who would be angry about that. You know, how dare this guy speed by me, honk the horn at me. I don't know. He might have even been flipping me off. I don't know, because he had tinted windows. So I'm thinking, how do I handle this situation? What is my takeaway? Well, the first thing I wanted to do was I wanted to thank this guy for not killing me. I accelerate, not to a speeding rate, and he turns into a neighborhood about a mile past mine. I turn into the neighborhood behind him. He turns around and he comes back, and he's a young man. I'm guessing 19 years old. And I wave him down, and he pulls up, he rolls down the window. His voice was trembling. One, because he was afraid, and the other because I think he thought I might have been looking for a fight. But I told him, young man, I want to say thank you. Thank you for not being on your phone. Thank you for paying attention to what you were doing, because had you not been paying attention to what you were doing, I would be dead. And I am grateful to you. I want you, when you go to your parents' home this evening, to say that an old man on a motorcycle complimented you on your awareness and your safety in driving. And I meant every word of that. That young man, due to his diligence, saved my life. We so often want to, we have our sticker. It says, look twice, save a life. And we think that only applies to automobiles. And we forget that it applies to us. Look twice, save your life. Look twice, Bob. Save your life. It was darn scary. And I'm not going to lie to you. When I got home, I went ahead and did my ride and all that stuff. But when I got home, I talked to Coach Vic about it. And I explained to her what had happened. She was grateful that I wasn't in an accident. I talked to a racer friend of mine and I told him what happened. And he was like, man, we've all done it. I'm just glad you didn't get hurt. I wasn't doing wheelies. I wasn't riding crazy. I wasn't being a maniac on the motorcycle. I simply did something wrong. I made a mistake. And so many times, what we don't realize is we go by 100 vehicles a day. If one of those guys make a mistake and we catch it, there's not an accident because we saved it. How many times do we make that mistake? How many times are we that one vehicle and someone has to practice defensive driving because of a mistake that we made? Now, I consider myself to be a very conscientious driver and a safe driver and a safe rider as well. But I'm not perfect. And my friends, neither are you. So look twice, save your life. And when you make that mistake, let's hope that the other guy is looking out for you like that young man was looking out for me. As riders, we need to practice what we preach. We always want to criticize others who make a mistake, whether intentional or unintentional. We just need to make sure that we practice our due diligence and we pay attention to what we're doing. Because I don't want to see anything happen to you, and I know you don't want to see anything happen to me. And I know Coach Vic would have been devastated had that ended up like it could have. But in the end, as I tell my children and as I tell other people that ride, the system works. When you make a mistake, others need to catch it. When they make a mistake, you need to catch it. It's that redundancy. There are two people involved. When one person makes a mistake, hopefully the other person is capable of covering for it. You're not always capable of covering for it, but most of the time I think we do. So let's try to keep our cool when we're out there. And remember, nobody's perfect. So until next time, I want you to do me a favor. Go out, buy the motorcycle of your dreams, eat right, take care of yourself. And remember, if you're not having fun, you are most definitely doing it wrong. Now, we will see you on the road real soon. You ride safe, okay?